Hi, happy Saturday, May 20th. And today we're going to talk specifically about medication, which I know we've talked about before, but we need to talk about it again. I need to talk about it again. I probably, out of the various diagnoses, and look, I stay away from labels. I think they're bad. They put us in boxes. So I am not my diagnosis. But I need to also kind of put them in the box of consideration so I can kind of cope better and manage life better. But out of the major depression, anxiety, PTSD, and the newest of borderline personality, which I resist. But anxiety is probably what I suffer from most frequently, in my opinion. That's the one that I can feel and see frequently. And I have anxiety attacks, minor or fairly major ones often. I have social plans. They're all great things for every Saturday for the next 5 Saturdays. And I have anxiety about that. And then I'll have guilt if I don't make it. So it's kind of challenging. But I'm not even here to talk about myself. I'm here to talk about Chris Cornell from Soundgarden. And I wasn't a big 90s grunge fan. That's not really my thing. But I liked Soundgarden. And I loved Black Hole Sun and that crazy video. It was crazy. But I just read the Rolling Stones article about Chris's wife and how he came home for Mother's Day and they had a great time and he was playing with his kids and they were making plans for Memorial Day. And I believe her that she doesn't think her husband committed suicide intentionally. But he went to earn money and went on tour with his band and they played some Soundgarden concert. I'm sure he was opening for someone because it's not the 90s anymore. And she said she spoke with him and his speech was slurred and he just wasn't right. And he told her, he took an Ativan, which is anti-anxiety medication. And he told her I took a couple extra because his anxiety was high. And I don't know how much you know about these particular medications, but if you were to Google Ativan, which is lorazepam, it's a sedative. It can treat seizure disorders such as epilepsy. It can also be used before surgery and medical procedures to relieve anxiety. It can cause paranoid or suicidal ideation and impair memory, judgment, and coordination. Combining with other substances, particularly alcohol, can slow breathing and possibly lead to death. I think about Prince. I think about my friend. I don't think there are all of us saying, I want to kill myself today. I think there are people who are saying, I need relief from this, whatever this feeling or whatever. And the reality is that our bodies adjust. I smoke weed. I've been smoking weed since the 90s. The same weed that used to get me high in 1998 is not the same amount of weed or the type of weed that I need at 37. When I first started taking antidepressants, I was very resistant because I know your tolerance builds. I started on 10 milligrams of Lexapro. I'm on 30. You should not get more than 40 milligrams. It is not recommended. And when my doctor bumped me up from 20 to 30, that took like 3 weeks of conversation because I was like, I'm not about it. And because of my anxiety, when I started taking the anxiety medication, I had paranoia that I would die, that my heart would stop, or it didn't help in the beginning. So I say that because if a doctor tells you you need medication, I suggest you need medication. But I would say follow your doctor's recommendation. But that's why it's important to know your doctors, to really talk to your doctors. When I first met my first psychiatrist, it took months for me to get on the medication, he told me. And we did not have a good relationship. He was an issue of contention for me, and I just didn't trust him, and he was just writing me prescriptions, and I was like, right now, I have a doctor who I am very candid about. She knows I smoke weed for anxiety. She took me off of the Seroquel when she heard my symptoms and things that were coming with that. She knows that I'm a little bit afraid of chemicals and medications. And she said, we're going to try to go as clean as possible, and try to lower doses and do some other things. So that's where I'm at. But I'm also, this took a long time. And I think about people like Chris, who his tolerance was probably high because of his recreational use, how he self-coped, how he self-medicated. And here he's on this prescription medication given by a doctor, and he's just trying to feel better. And it's so sad that that family and those kids aren't going to know their dad. And I'm frustrated, too, with him. Because I'm like, you had money. You didn't have to go do a show. If that environment is not healthy, remove yourself from that environment, as opposed to popping in more pills to sustain in that environment. Anyway, that's my little soapbox preaching today. I'm not anti-drugs. Just get the right doctors. Talk to them. Don't play around. If it says don't drink and take your meds, don't drink and take your meds. Really. Our hearts can stop, and that's hella scary. If your meds aren't working and you're still feeling anxiety, I would suggest remove yourself from that environment, which is what I've been doing. I don't want to be a zombie on 3 different types of antidepressants and sedatives, and I don't want to be that girl. But I have to create the space that is conducive to my wellness. So that's it. I will talk to you guys tomorrow. I'll let you know if I made it to all of my plans. And I hope you're well. I hope you guys are feeling whole and peaceful and supported. I wouldn't say happy, because happy's kind of bullshit sometimes. But anyway, I'll see you tomorrow.